Well, now I think we have to ask you, Mike.
Yeah, we do.
How did you come to play Mose?
Yeah.
Something we understand you hated.
You hated being Mose, but we love Mose.
Let me just delineate here importantly. I love the fact that I played Mose. I hated actually doing it because for two reasons. So here's the story. The story was Greg always had it as part of Dwight Schrute's backstory that he himself was not Amish or Mennonite or anything like that, but he was sort of Amish adjacent, that he had relatives. He was of Germanic descent living in Pennsylvania. That alone is sort of Amish adjacent. So Greg always had it in the back of his head that there was a sort of a Schrute cousin farming community that was either Amish or something in the Amish family. So there in 2004, there was a reality show called Amish in the City.
Yes, yeah. I saw that.
Yes. It was a terrible, terrible program.
It was so hard to watch.
It was so awful. And my wife and I watched it, and I was sort of trying to express how cringy it was to the writer's room one day. The premise of the show was they took a bunch of idiot club kids from LA who were on spring break, and they were like, you guys are going to come stay in this awesome house in the Hollywood Hills. And they were psyched, and they were like, we're going to get so drunk and party and whatever. What they didn't know that also invited to stay in the house were a bunch of young Amish folks on Rumspringa who had been released for their year of exploration, and they were going to live together. And then,
hot mess ensues.
Hot mess ensues. Right. So one of the characters on the show who was Amish was named Mose, and Mose was this delightful, kind-hearted, fragile egg who tried his best to become friends with the idiot club kids from LA. And among other ways that he tried this, where he fashioned his own wooden toys, like a little wooden airplane or a little wooden car, and
he made them himself.
He made them himself, and he presented them to his new friends, and they were just like, what the hell is this, right?
Oh.
And I was relating this story to the room about how awful this show was, and Greg pointed at me with his giant finger, I remember it so clearly, and said, you're going to play Mose. You're Dwight's cousin. You're Mose. And I was like, ha, ha, ha. And he was like, no, I'm serious that we're going to do this. You're going to play Mose. And I thought it was a joke for a couple of reasons. First, because I thought it was a joke. Second, because all of the other writers, as you may know, got to play essentially versions of themselves or significant characters in the show. Like Mindy was in the show all the time, and Paul was in the show all the time, and BJ was in the show all the time. And Greg was essentially saying, you are a joke, and I'm going to turn you into a joke. And then, so the first time that we did it, it was in a photo. It was when Rain just says, I have a cousin, I run a beet farm with my cousin Mose. It was in an episode I wrote. It was the one where Michael buys a condo.
Yes.
And it was just a photo. And I was like, great, I'll put on a fake beard. And actually, I don't even think I had the beard for the photo, but I'll dress up in these wool clothes and we'll take a photo, and that'll be the end of it. But then the writers, my so-called friends, got very excited about me playing Mose and started writing me into episodes all the time. And it was the episode BJ wrote, where the initiation, where Dwight was trying to initiate Ryan into some kind of salesman fraternity by bringing him to his farm. And they wrote Mose into the show. And so Greg insisted for this episode that I have a real beard. He didn't believe that a fake beard, according to him, would look real. And I was like, listen, I don't grow facial hair very easily. It's going to take me a long time. He's like, well, you better get started. It was basically just hazing. That's all it was. So I grew a real beard for months and months and months. And in that time, the show was nominated for an Emmy. And Greg and I and some of the other producers went around and had a bunch of fancy Hollywood events that we went to, and in every one of those photos, I have the disgusting wiry Mose Beard. And then, so that episode was supposed to be the first one we shot that in season 3. But then there was I can't remember why, there was some kind of production issue or script issue or something, and it got delayed like 2 or 3 more months.
Oh,
so that,
no.
so that I had to keep, and I realized, like, I remember like this sweating panic of like, I was counting down the days until I could shave. And I was like, oh no, now I can't shave now and then grow the beard back in time. So I had to keep it like another 3 months. And then by the time we finally shot it, it was like mid-September in deep in the valley on that Disney Ranch Valley location where we shot Dwight's farm. It was the day we shot that first episode, the high that day was 105. And I was wearing long johns and wool pants and a wool shirt and suspenders and these old work boots that were incredibly uncomfortable. And I had to run around and pretend to wrestle Ryan. And like, I was like a ghost. Like I was just like running through, I was like a horror movie ghost running through the background of scenes. It took an entire day. I had to get up at 4:30 in the morning and get to Disney Ranch by 5:30. And I was like, well, at least I'll never have to do that again. And then the writers, my so-called friends, wrote me into like 100 more episodes. So I'm very honored and happy to have played a small, silly role in the history of the show on screen. But the actual act of doing it was always 105. I was always shirtless on a seesaw or running alongside a car like a dog. Or in probably the scariest moment of my life, being slapped like being punched in the face essentially by Angela Kinsey.
I know.
It was that was one of the most terrifying moments of my life. Do you remember that when we had to do that?
Yes, I was going to talk to you about it because Angela and Mose had so many actual scenes together, and a lot of them are in the deleted scenes. I'm watching the DVDs. Some made it in, but a few really cracked me up. But I have to talk to you about that one. First, I want to say there was a deleted scene in The Surplus where I'm at Schrute Farms with Andy. We're wedding planning. Dwight is our wedding planner. We're trying to discuss a butter sculpture, and Andy's signing all these papers, and you're coming in the kitchen, and I hiss at you. Like
a cat.
And then you run away. And we kept breaking at this because it was so absurd. So there's that moment. Like, what is Angela and Mose? What is their relationship? But then the episode he's talking about, I want to look because I wrote it.
It's the finale. It's the series finale.
No, that's when you kidnapped me.
Oh, right, right.
Okay, the episode was Free Family Portrait, and Angela is chasing who she thinks is Dwight in Dwight's car, but it's Mose dressed as Dwight because she wants to find out if Dwight's found out about her baby, right? Right. And one of the things I remember, which is crazy in hindsight, Mike, is that you and I did our own stunt driving where we had to screech into a cul-de-sac and pull side by side, really fast, turn on a dime. And then I fly out of the car because they didn't want to waste any time, lose all that footage. And I run up and I swing open the door and it's Mose and not Dwight. And you won't tell me where Dwight is. And they wanted me to slap the shit out of you. Right.
So what happened was we were like, okay, you and I just were like, so let's just like walk through how this happens. And you were kind of like, okay, so I'll come over here and then I'll get out here and you'll stand against the car and then I'll slap you. And you like just sort of moved your hand in the motion of what it would be. You did a fakie. And I was like, okay, yeah, this seems okay. So we do the first take. We screech up. We do a good job of doing our own stunts, by the way, you and me. You pull me out. You're like, where's Dwight? Where's Dwight? I'm like, I don't know, or something. And then you slap me, but you slap me for real. You hit me so hard, I spun around like a top and like hit the roof of the car and was like, my ears were ringing. And I remember like, I was like, oh, I can't hear what she's saying to me because my ears are ringing so loudly.
Oh my God, Mike, I'm so sorry. Matt Sohn told me, he was like, Angela, you're going to have to really hit him because we're pretty wide. You won't be able to do the fakie.
Yes, and I also remember this is not your fault. None of this is your fault.
So bad. I felt so bad.
Because I remember saying, no, really hit me because I'm 6 feet tall. You are not 6 feet tall.
I am 5'1".
right? And I was like, no, I hate it when there's like a fake slap on TV. I'm sure this will be fine. Just really hit me. It'll be fine. I remember telling you that. Like, just really hit me. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. I had no idea that you were a mixed martial arts professional, and you hit me so hard. I really I did not know where I was. I didn't know what was happening. My eyes went blank and my hearing dropped out, and I had no idea what was happening. It was wonderful. And that's the take they used, thankfully, because afterwards, also, I remember afterwards, you were like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry." And I was like, no. I just didn't understand how strong you were.
Oh my gosh, muggers beware. Okay. Angela, Kinsey.
I do remember, I felt so bad. And I remember saying, I was trying to like think, why was that so hard? Maybe it was the momentum because I'm running. I was like trying to like think about, I don't know where the ninja came from, Mike.
I think that slapping is just like a more shocking thing than I've never been slapped in my life, I'm proud to say. And so I think I just greatly underestimated the force of the blow that was about to hit my face. But this is all part of this larger conversation of why it wasn't fun to play Mose. It's because not only was it always a sight gag, but also like sometimes the writers would write actual lines for me, and then in the edit it would always be like, it's funnier if we don't hear from Mose, right? So they would cut all the lines, and then it was like, what is the most humiliating way that we can use him? And it was like being slapped, be like in an outhouse with his pants around his ankles while the door is slamming closed. Like it was Greg's and the writer's way of just like enjoying tormenting me. So now when I look back, I'm so happy that I did it. But every time I had to like leave the writer's room, a place where I knew what I was doing, and go be a performer where I did not know what I was doing, I was always a little bit like, this is torture. I always felt like it was a little bit of torture.